This is Vern Pouch, born on March 4th, 1927. Served during World War II with the Navy. Highest rank was a ship's cook, 3rd class. It is July 27th, 2010, and we're here in Fruitport, Michigan. My name is Nicholas Cole. I'm a teacher with Orchard View Middle School, and we're conducting this interview for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress. And I think to get started here, Vern, we're going to take a look at your youth. You were born here in Fruitport.
I was born here.
And born and raised, been here your whole life.
Yes. Going to be buried here also.
All right.
I got
Yeah, all right. You entered the Navy at 17.
Yes.
And wanted to get into a little bit of your family build. How many brothers and sisters did you have? I
had one brother and one sister.
Okay.
My brother was in the Navy also. World War II in Korea.
Okay.
He's younger than I was.
Okay. And did your sister do any service?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. What were you doing before you entered the service?
Well, I was going to school, but I quit when I was 16, and I worked in foundries. As soon as I turned 17, I joined the Navy.
Okay. And when you entered the Navy, where did you trained here in West Michigan, correct?
No,
No.
I trained at Great Lakes.
Okay.
Did my training at Great Lakes, Illinois.
Okay.
And from there, after we graduated from basic training, I went to, what am I got to think? Well, I got to leave, of course.
Yeah.
Have to get up. And then I was what am I going to say? Nothing. I didn't know nothing and everything else, but anyway, I was a, 3rd class seaman. And, oh golly. I was formed with a group, and from there I was shipped to Norfolk, Virginia. Went to fire school to fight fires and all that kind of stuff, see. Then I was assigned from there I was transferred to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I picked my ship up.
Okay. And you were 17 when Pearl Harbor was attacked?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't 17. What the heck was I? Probably 16, maybe 15.
Okay. Well, before the attack occurred, do you remember anything? Do you remember much about the nation in terms of were we gearing up for war, or from your perspective, was there a lot of support for the war?
Well, I don't think so. We really didn't enter the war till Pearl Harbor.
Right. Was there a
In
support?
41.
Was there much support to get involved in the war before Pearl Harbor?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. All right. So you go into the service, you go through your training, and you pick up your ship in Pittsburgh, you said?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, yeah.
And you ship out, where do you go from there?
I go down the Ohio River to the Mississippi River, floating. Now, while they mounted the guns and everything while we're floating down the Ohio and the Mississippi. We put the ship in commission in New Orleans, and then we did nothing but train there for a while, get yourself organized what your job was. Let's see here, I gotta think here a minute here now. Anyway, after we put the ship in commission, we left New Orleans for a shakedown cruise and went to beaches in Florida. Landed the LST on there to get the crew, understand what I'm saying, to get them to open the bow doors, drop the ramp and all that kind of stuff. And then from then on, I went to Gulfport, Mississippi, It picked up supplies. We picked up on the aft bulkhead of the tank deck. There was all kinds of now don't ask me how many PT engines for PT boats in the Pacific, and the rest of it was loaded with beans. Navy, can you imagine that? Anyway, we had that, and then after we got loaded up, we went through the Panama Canal. And of course, from the Panama Canal, we went over to New Guinea.
What was do you remember what you were thinking? I mean, of course, the war is going on at this time.
Oh yes.
You're
oh,
on
yes.
a ship heading into a combat area.
Yes.
Do you remember what your feelings, your emotions were?
Well, I
at that
was a
time?
young dude, nothing scared me.
No.
You know. And we went to New Guinea, unloaded our supplies, of course, and then we resupplied again for the invasion of the Philippines. And I can't remember the date we invaded the Philippines. Anyway, MacArthur was there. I see him walk on the beach. And let's see here.
So you were there when he made his
Oh
return,
yes, oh sure.
his proclaimed return.
Oh yes. Well, I didn't hear him, but I mean he was there.
In his corn cob pipe.
Yeah, oh yes, oh sure, yeah. Okay. Then what-
So when you get there and you're dropping your supplies, can you describe the process? How are you dropping your supplies? Do you guys beach them or?
we would beach the LST, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea of an LST. They were shallow draft.
Right.
And if you want to get sea legs, that's the thing to get it, because I got news for you.
Are they flat
Up and
bottom?
down, oh,
Yeah.
you get seasick for about 2 days, then you better ship up.
Yeah.
But we did have one guy, though, I felt so sorry for him. He was sick. It took us, I think it was 30 days, or 60 days. I can't remember what I told you. 60 days maybe, from the time we left Panama Canal to get to New Guinea. You know, they were very slow.
Yeah.
And just plowed through the seas. But we was with another LST and a destroyer escort. Took us across the Pacific.
Just one destroyer assigned to.
That's it. And let's see, we got to New Guinea. Well, then of course we were getting ready for the Philippines. So we went ashore and they loaded up whatever, the trucks, tanks, everything else we had to load on the LST.
That was a large. There was multiple LSTs bringing supplies into the Philippines.
Oh my
right?
God, yes. There was
Big convoys.
There were convoys of them, but we just went across there by ourselves, just 2 of us.
Okay.
And on the way going over, I'll never forget, I was up on the bridge and there was a big bleep on the radar. And I don't know who said it, but one of the guys up there says, well, should we challenge it, Captain? He says, what in the hell are you talking? Challenge it? He says, it's probably a cruiser or battle wagon or something. He said, what would we challenge it? Oh, you know, we got nothing but 20 and 40 millimeter guns.
Yeah,
He says, just keep, get out of here. So anyway, we got over there all right, and it was quite an experience. Whales, you know what I mean? You see all that kind of stuff. Flying fish on the decks. Anyway, after we got to New Guinea, we unloaded our supplies. Then we reloaded for the invasion of the Philippines.
Okay.
And it was quite a big convoy of those. There was quite a few LSTs.
When you're loading up, how long does that take? Is it a day process, or does it take?
Oh yeah, it doesn't take them very long.
No, so you don't get off the ship in port.
No, I'm not going to get off the ship when the jets run.
Okay.
No. Well, you could get off, but what good is it going to do you?
Right.
So, anyway, we loaded up and got our supplies, then made the invasion of the Philippines.
Your experience and your training and all of that. How did you adapt to the life on sea? I mean, you talked about the seasickness. Your duties on deck, it's pretty well regimented.
Oh yes.
Did you have trouble adapting to that?
No.
No.
No, all it is chipping hammers, paint, chipping, painting, chipping, painting. Well, of course, then I got in the galley. I got in the galleys as a baker striker.
So you have multiple jobs.
Oh
On
yeah,
the
sure.
ship.
You didn't just
Your
do
battle
one thing. Yeah,
stations.
my battle station was on the starboard, excuse me, the starboard side of the LST. I was a loader on a 20 millimeter. I had my gunner was Joe Duval. I'll never forget that. Anyway, he was. Then we did some shooting, you know, action, getting as we were going over, cleaning the guns all up and everything like that. But that we had gunner's mates that did all that stuff on the decks and stuff.
Yeah.
Then after that, we backed off in the Philippines. We went out again for, well, before we loaded up for the invasion of Mindoro, we had it, well, they sent us out onto their fleet. And we pulled alongside the Maryland, the battle-flagging Maryland. And we pulled in there, and would you believe this, they had a band on the fantails laying. I couldn't believe this. And they were licking ice, we didn't have no ice, no nothing like that, you know. Yeah. And we took a work crew aboard there. They wouldn't anchor wagons or they wouldn't anchor next to ammunition ships, see. So we had to go to an ammunition ship, picked up the supplies that they wanted. They wanted, I think they were 16-inch projectiles and powder bags on the top, on the deck.
So you've got an ammunition ship, and this is all done at sea, right? You've got
Oh, yes.
ammunition.
Oh,
so
sure.
you travel between ships,
Yes,
bringing supplies.
yes, right.
Okay.
And after we got done with that, well, as we were pulling back into the Maryland again, the whistle started blowing, and I thought, what in God's name is going on here? What's going on here? They chopped our lines off and just took, the wagon took off, left the work crew right aboard there. You know, from the.
This is after the invasion of the Philippines.
Oh yeah.
Right? Now, just to backtrack a bit, the invasion of the Philippines, you bring your supplies and you drop those off. How long, what type of period of time are we talking? Is that a day where you just drop it and then you're gone?
Then we get out of there, back off the beach,
Right.
and then we'd have to resupply or whatever they want to do.
As you're coming aboard, are you involved with the unloading?
No.
No. Do you see anything going on the shore?
Well, they were shooting at us, yeah.
Okay, so
Sure.
you're taking fire as you're going
Yes,
in.
right.
Okay, that's what I wanted to.
Yes, sure.
Certainly not a vision of just putting up to the shore, dropping your doors.
No.
Everything's
no.
happening
Yeah,
quick.
it's going quick, yeah.
When you come ashore on an LST and you hit the shore, that's got to be pretty jarring.
It is.
Is it?
You wait, you go ashore, the old man, well, he'd holler at you, you know what I mean, all right, brace yourself, because they'd go in there and get as far as they could up on the beach.
Yeah.
Open up the bow doors that open up, go up on the beach as far as they could, then they drop the ramp. That's when you unloaded your equipment, tanks, you name it, it was just everything. And, but I say, after this Maryland deal here, we were stuck with our crew, and then they sent us on a, that's when starting the battle of the Philippine Sea. The Japs were gonna come in and gonna run us off the beach. If you remember that in history. So we were on the outer fringe of that. And on general quarters, we never got off of general quarters from the time we got there. But on our port side, to my left, in other words, this, to the left side of the ship, the cruiser, boy, damn it, I don't ever forget it. Oh, for cripe's sake. So anyway, he was firing over the top of our ship.
Yeah.
At the Jap fleet that was on the port, on the starboard side of the sea was. And holy smokes, you talk about shooting, you see them projectiles going, they go right, and I like that, man. But then the hell of a was while we're there, we were constantly moving, you know, back, keep just on that outer fringe of them out there. But then the Japs started dropping, shooting star shells. And you know what that, here we got a deck full of powder, ammunition, everything else, you know, anyway,
Star shells are
they go up and they explode and then they light up the area. Boise, that was the name of the cruiser. The Boise was on the starboard side there, was shooting.
They're shooting over you.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was in the Battle of the Philippine Sea,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
And you obviously you saw action. You were shooting as well off the LST.
Oh,
correct?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, any planes or anything. That was our, we did our outer circle to start, if they start sending planes in.
Now are you taking any fire from Japanese ships at that time, or is it
I
all?
don't think, no.
It's all planes.
They were after the big stuff, the
Right.
battle wagons, carriers, and
Yeah.
stuff like that, see.
That's what the ships went.
Yeah, that's what we were out there for, just to. Anyway, we took this crew back to the Maryland after we got through with this thing. And you know the thing was, it was the old fleet that sunk in Pearl Harbor that they had raised. That was the Maryland and all them. And by God, they fought them Japanese battleships and won the damn thing.
Resurrection.
Resurrection, you bet your life, brother. And PT boats too, a lot of PT boats there, see. They did, you could see the explosions in the distance, you know what I mean, from shooting back and forth. Then we got done with that. And then we went back into the Philippines again, into Leyte, and loaded up supplies for the invasion of Mindoro, another island. They were island hopping is what they were doing.
Now you get into Mindoro, and you've already been battle tested, obviously. What types of witnessing this? And I mean, you're handing the shells up. You're loading the shells into the 20
millimeter,
20
yeah.
millimeters.
Yeah.
Are you seeing any of the you guys are taking hits from bullets as these planes are strafing you, right?
No, we
No.
didn't.
No.
We didn't, no, we did not, no. But
Okay, so going
I'll
into
tell you, before I did that though, the Nashville was there was a floating dry dock in the Philippines in Leyte. And that's the first time they started suicide bombing.
okay.
They sunk the damn, dry dock. And previous to that, we went into a heck of a, before this all happened, we went through, not a tornado, what do they call them?
Monsoon.
No, not a monsoon. Anyway, what are the storms in the Pacific?
Typhoons.
Typhoons, are they? And I'm telling you, terrible. The old man says, general quarters, but don't go on deck. That thing would rock like this. And we happened to get drag anchor and hit another, I don't know, it was an LST or a destroyer or something, and poked a hole in our the port side or starboard side of the LST. It was a big hole, about as big as this window here. We went into the dry dock, they fixed it right away quick, like we got out of there. And then the Nashville was still cruising around the islands there, and she got hit with a suicide plane also. Then we loaded up and went our way to Mindoro to make the invasion of Mindoro. And I can't remember what day we must have been at sea for a day or a day and a half, maybe 2 days even. But I'll never forget it, on the 12th, the 21st of 44, we got called to general quarters in the morning, and we stayed at our stations all day. But they were all at your gun, but they had the P-38s were all flying over, shooting them Japs out of the air, see? But then all of a sudden they disappeared. I suppose they ran out of fuel or something. And I think they were out of, well anyway, they had to go back for fuel. And then we were alone there, see? Well, that's when I got pictures of it. Here's the 3 planes come down. Or there was 3 of them. And the first one, I got pictures of that too, coming right down here to do our ship, sink our ship, diving right down to us. There he is right there.
Yep.
And he hit us right behind the conning tower. There was 3 40 millimeters back there. I don't think none of them guys survived. I couldn't tell you for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, it went through, all the way through the ship, cut the screws off, so we had no power.
Right.
Well, we had what they called handy billies to fight fires with. Well, you're going like this, well, that come out of the water, and then the other side, that would come out of the water, so we really couldn't fight the fires, really.
Those handy abilities, you drop the hose down into the water,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you start her up and pump the salt water out of there.
The ship's rocking and your hose
oh,
comes out.
it was a lost cause.
Right.
But we stayed aboard there for, that was starting to, it must have been, oh God, an hour maybe, hour and a half. And finally the old man says, everybody get ready, we're gonna abandon ship.
So you took one hit from a kamikaze.
That was it.
Was there any others that had attempted to hit you? And
Oh,
missed?
not the suicide plane, but we just stayed right aboard. I think we shot down 2 or 3 more planes in the meantime. And up to the starboard side, my side of the ship, they'd hit another LST there, and they had all gasoline on there on the tank or on the decks. Sure. Hell, just blew it apart. So,
well, those planes they're loaded up with gas too. So.
What? Oh, I think they had bombs and stuff on them.
Well,
They just went right through. Yeah, yeah. And I'm trying to think what else now.
So you were in your general quarters in the early morning. You take the hit in the morning as well, or is it in the afternoon?
It was in the afternoon. We got hit about 5:30 in the evening.
Okay. And then you're sitting there.
That's it.
You have no screws. You can't move.
You can't move. All we do is just float like floundering.
And you're still taking fire from other planes.
Oh yeah.
at this
Oh
point.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And anyway, it must have been around 6 o'clock or so. And the hell of it is, we was feeding the troops. See, below decks they were being fed down there, and I wasn't, but the cooks and all that, and the galley people were feeding them when the plane was hit. So a lot of those guys got not. They were combat engineers, and of course they were loaded for the invasion there. Everything they had was something that would blow you up, you know. And I don't know, we stayed aboard there, and the old man just says, and then we had 2 officers, I'll never forget that. Duke and Bell was their names. They were deck officers. They were supposed to go back and forth, but sure, we were all right. Everybody was doing fine. And they shook hands and jumped overboard. And I told the gunner, hit Joe, I said, did the old man say abandon ship? He said, no, 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 no. He said, stay by them guns and shoot, fire, fire, fire. I said, okay. And I did see them 2 officers jump over the side. I thought, holy crap. Well, I was scared too. Well, let me tell you, that's when you start getting, hair starts getting on the back of your neck curling up. Well, you know, a ship, that's your everything. Sleep, eat, it's like your house. Right. Anyway, these 2 guys jumped off the deck, and Joe says, no, 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 no. And we stayed aboard there for, oh hell, when we left, when finally old man says come back, abandoned ship, the decks was going like this. The explosions down below, see. So he says, abandoned ship, so we got off. Dove off. Bare ass naked I was, pardon me. I was. I thought, I'm not gonna have no, oh, I was born in this lake here, so I could swim.
So you want to have all the wet clothes weighing you
Oh,
down.
I know.
Well,
No.
did you have life jackets?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, maybe, well, we used up most of them, though. The guys were, the carnage was bad.
Sure. So you put them
Arms
on.
and legs gone, and you just picked them up and put a life jacket on and threw them over the side, so they could, and it wasn't funny then. I thought, what the hell am I doing in the Navy? I should join the Army or something. Anyway, we come out of that all right. Then we jumped overboard. And I swam until I found a life raft. I just hung on to that. You start getting bumps like this. Sharks bumping you. You know, over there they had those big tiger sharks, 12 and 14 footers, big ones.
Aggressive too.
Huh?
They're aggressive too.
Oh, yeah. And by golly, hung onto that life raft, and well, the destroyers, they leave you. When you're sunk, they just keep going. But then somebody could turn around and come back and pick us up. The destroyer did.
And they give you training for if your ship is sunk, things to do.
Swim.
Swim. Well, I mean, you're going into the Pacific, which is, I mean, there's sharks. Do they give you any type of training how to deal with sharks?
No. I don't think in them days they knew what to do with sharks.
No.
No. No.
So there were attacks, obviously. I mean, you yourself got bumped, but other
Oh,
people.
well, everybody was. You get bumped by them. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But the life or the raft I was on, that was this far underwater. You know, there's so many guys on it,
Yeah.
people on it. But then a destroyer come back, picked us up. And
How long were you in the water for?
Oh gosh, I can't tell you. A few hours
Just a few.
before they come back. I wasn't days or nothing like that. No. But you couldn't swim to shore because that was all Jap infested. See.
Yeah.
And but think of swimming to that ladder.
Yeah.
The last man, you didn't want to be. Anyway, we come out of that okay. Now we got picked up by destroyers and took over to. Where the hell did they take us? I can't think now. Well, we got off on Mindoro.
Got off of Mindoro and then you headed to Australia.
Yes, we went to Australia. Well, at Mindoro though, I didn't have no clothes on. Well, on the destroyer that picked us up, they gave us dungarees.
Okay.
No shoes, nothing. And you go on into Mindoro there, and it was piles of boots. Piles of them. You just wouldn't want to rob them from the pile, what it would fit you. But then you couldn't get nothing to eat neither.
Yeah.
All them cooks in the Army and everything had enough for their own people, and they took care of them.
Right.
And there was no surplus.
They wouldn't feed you
Nah,
guys,
so we
right.
couldn't eat. Then we took a floating dry dock. This had power on it though. Picked us up there and took us to Australia. And from there, come back home.
Back home. You got a 30-day survivor's leave.
Yes.
And that's where you met your wife?
Where?
On your leave.
I don't know if I did or not. No, I don't think so. I think I thought I had a good deal. I got back to the States, got a 30-day survivor's leave, and went back to California, and there on the roster list it said Port Chicago, California. I thought, oh geez, I'm gonna be close to home.
Right.
But it was California, Port Chicago,
Oh.
California. And just previous to that, they had an ammunition ship blew up there in the harbor. And it was all black crews unloading and loading these ammunition ships. And hell, they took off. I don't know if they ever did find all of them.
Hmm.
So I was assigned there for a while. And I went into the galley, and that's where I made third class cook.
Looking back
Baker.
on the Japanese and the effects of the kamikaze, obviously this isn't a battle tactic that was expected from them. It was something that they developed and utilized.
Yeah.
What's your impression, I mean, as the Japanese, as a fighting unit, as they were a win at all cost, no surrender.
Oh, yeah.
What's your feelings on the Japanese as an enemy?
Well, for a long time I hated them.
Yeah.
Because we were sunk on the 12th, the 21st, of 44. All of our turkeys, everything we had for Christmas dinner went down the tubes.
So they ruined your Christmas for sure.
They sure hell did, I'll tell you that. No, then I come back to the States. We come back on the Laurel Line, as a matter of fact. The name of the thing, it was a converted troop carrier.
You get dropped off at Port Chicago, California, and do you have any way of getting home?
No, I didn't. I wasn't. We were. Excuse me. Not Port Chicago, California. That's when I went back. Excuse me. Went back off my survivor's.
Okay.
Excuse me. Survivor's leave. Yeah. And then I went to, of course, that's where I made third class cook and baker.
Okay.
Then I got transferred to Treasure Island, right. And would you believe it or not, I had a working crew. They had plenty of cooks and bakers and everything else. To go pick up cigarette butts and stuff. And I happened to go to buy a transportation pool, and there was a chief there. Kunkowski was his name. He'd been on Navy Guard. He had stripes up his arms like that. And he said, "You want a job?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I got a job here." No, he said, "No, you want a job working for me?" And I said, "Sure, I'll take it. Why not?" So I went to work in a train. Yeah, he said, you got one duty you got to do. You got to get up in the morning, make coffee. There was a woman's drivers and a men's drivers. He said, "You got to keep them coffee urns and go get sweet rolls over in San Francisco." I said, "You're kidding me." And he said, "No, that's what you're going to have to do. Give you a card. I can walk off the base anytime I wanted to." I said, "Oh my God, Chief." And he said, "That's okay."
Sweet deal.
Sweet, oh, you better believe it. But I had to take a company or take a Navy vehicle, go over to San Francisco every morning and pick up sweet rolls for the men and the women's, and keep the coffee urns full. Sweet, huh? Couldn't beat it with a club. I wanted to stay in the Navy, but she wouldn't go. She didn't want to stay.
No.
Yeah, God almighty.
You were just discharged in '46 after the bombs were dropped?
After the bombs were dropped, yeah. We were sunk, we were sunk a long time before the Indianapolis.
Oh, yeah. Any, I mean, looking back, historically speaking, the effects of the bombs, but at that time of them being dropped, do you remember what was said about what was dropped? They talked about them as atomic bombs, but that's the first time.
Oh, nobody knew what they were.
Yeah, no one knew what it was.
No, if they didn't do that, hell, that war would have lasted another year, and those Japs would not give up, I'll tell you. They were fanaticals. Bad. Well, you know how you've read about how they made these army guys and stuff, that they, charges and stuff, kamikazes, they're nuts.
Right.
Insane. Life meant nothing to them, I guess.
Indoctrinated.
Yeah, terrible, terrible, terrible.
So the war's over. You head back to Fruitport?
I did not. I stayed in the Navy for a while. Then I come back, and I met my wife on a blind date. How many years ago? 63, 64 years ago. And then we got married and had kids. 4 boys and 2 girls.
Well, looking back on your military service, anything that you life lessons that you take away from that service? Obviously, it's something that's going to stick in your mind for the rest of your life. You think
Well,
it affected your life?
a lot of
Positively?
people died, you know, and that kind of stuff. But no, no, really, I didn't have no dreams or nothing like that. No.
Yes, you did.
Did I? Okay,
You
she
used
says
to
I
wake
did.
up
Must
in the
be I
night
did.
flailing your arms around.
Oh well, then
All right.
I didn't know. I said I didn't, but she says I did, so I did, I guess.
All right. Did your military service, did it steer you in your future endeavors, your careers? Did it help you with getting jobs? You were a baker.
Oh yeah,
You
sure.
were a baker on
sure,
the ship.
probably, sure. Yeah.
What did
Sure.
you come back and end up doing?
I drove Greyhound for 33 years.
Okay.
Yeah. I retired and that's it, isn't it? I can't think of anything else.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to add to the story? I think we've covered everything. We've covered your early years, your service, and then your homecoming. Fruitport is a small community. Was there any celebrations for your homecoming?
No.
No.
No. Not a darn thing.
You have contact with the other members of your shipment?
There's one guy in Illinois, yes. There's another one in California. But that's too far away. Although I went to my Pouch and poker machine. We were together, like this. I'd hock my watch, get paid, and I get it back, and when he'd hock his watch, we'd get it back, get paid. You know, them kind of buddies, you know. I went to California and seen him too, by golly, before and I'm glad I did, because for years I used to think about him. And my wife and I went over to, gee whiz. What was the name of the town, Gene?
In California?
Yeah, no, in Illinois.
Rockford or
No. Woodstock,
Woodstock?
Illinois. I had some vacation, so I took a vacation, went over there, looked them up. Nobody heard of them. Nobody, couldn't find hiding or hair. And there was a postmaster there. I was at a VFW drinking a few beers we were, and he says, you know, I went to school with that Ray Pokersheen, and I don't know where he's at, but I'm gonna find out. And I come home, and by God, there was a postcard from him. We found him. Gave me his address and phone number. So we sit and talk every once in a while, and then I went out and visited him. And I'm glad I did, because not too long after that he died. You know, it's just what happens to be,
Well, it sounds like you've had quite a few instances like that. Those pictures that you have of the kamikaze attack.
yeah. Well, that
was
came
a-
from a guy from, there was a kid was out looking for, well, my partner, or there's another guy there, there's a scuttlebutt, a paper, the scuttlebutt. And he had articles in it about LSTs and stuff. And he happened to run into these things at a yard sale.
No, it was a flea market or something.
Or a
he
yard
said.
sale, flea market, or whatever it was. He looked at it, and by God, there they were. I said, well, isn't that amazing?
He sent them to you?
Yeah. Huh?
And he sent them
Well,
to
he
you?
took copies of it. This, my daughter did this here for me. Made these into. Anyway, he says, guess what? And he told me, and I said, well, you gotta be kidding me. By God, he did. The guy, whoever the guy was, he was taking this paper, the scuttlebutt, and his name was in there, so he sent him the photographs. But that was a long time ago too. He's about the only one alive that I know of anymore.
Vern, my my wife's niece, she's going into the Navy. Any words of advice? What would you tell someone who's going into the Navy?
What would I give him advice?
Yes.
Keep a clean nose. That's it. do what you're told to do and do it right, and you'd never have no problems. I got a boy that was in the Navy. He was in the Vietnam War. He was quite an experience too. He was on a river, Mekong Delta or whatever it was.
Jeez.
And he was on an LSD too. Picking up dead bodies, floating, they had, that kind of stuff. And, but he don't say too much about it. He won't talk about it too much. Yeah. But then, we got a letter from, I had my daughter was gonna look, she says, I'm gonna go on a whatchamacallit, see if I can find somebody that, shipmates. So she did. And it was a soldier. Sent her back a letter. Have we got that?
I don't know.
I don't know where it's at. Anyway, he was on the ship I was on. He was with the soldiers we had on there. He wrote a nice letter about how the LST and this, that, how he abandoned ship, and swam to a man. He says, I see a man out there, so I swam over to him to get him. The guy was dead in a life jacket. And he says, I've always wanted to know what his name was. What do you mean? He said, I just would like to know what his name was so I could thank his family or something, because he saved my life. Hung on to the guy until he got picked up. Amazing, it's just how things happen. Yeah.
Well, I think we'll stop there, at least for the